Yeah, thank you very much, Karen. Your presentation remind me of my good old times when dealing with the CDM. But yes, currently we have maybe the next CDM, I don't know. But here, I would like to deliver presentation about the SD implementation in Indonesia, not only in the CDM, but also in the GCM. So I will use the CDM and GCM as study cases of the SD implementation. Yeah, as Karen presented here, it is very difficult to measure how the SD or sustainable development implemented in the project. So there are a lot of questions, not only from the experts, but mainly from the communities and also from the common people. Do you sure that your project then will deliver good things, will deliver sustainable development to Indonesia? And I think, yes, we can prove it. Theoretically, it is easy to prove it, but technically it is difficult because we need to develop some measurement system. This is a CDM that we have developed from 2008 2012, and we have 156 projects under the CDM that register in the UNFCCC. One of the most important process of the CDM implementation in Indonesia is the sustainable development criteria that should be implemented. And the project participant must declare their project plan from the CDM National Committee, and the CDM National Committee assess the project participant implementation directly in the field. So it is different with other countries. At that time, we have developed our own standards and our own guidelines nationally. And here in the CDM Sustainable Development Criteria, we have developed this from 2010. I remember that because I was the head of the secretariat of the CDM Indonesia at that time. And we have developed some criteria, and this criteria was developed based on our own survey and study in some of the CDM project at that time. So we have what we call the L criteria, environmental sustainability, the environmental sustainability with two main criteria as conserving the diversification and diversifying the use of natural resources and safety and health of the local community. From this, we have some sub-criteria that must be fulfilled by the projects. So if you can see here, this is a value that must be fulfilled by the project participant, but here the national committee of the CDM then will evaluate this. So the project participant must present their project achievement, and then the national committee will evaluate this and give the measurement. And then local community welfare criteria we have, and we have also social sustainability criteria that community participation and the project will not damage and the integrity of social community. And we have also the technology sustainability. So this is from our CDM, and it is one step. Means that the project then will deliver the presentation, and then we must check the documents, and then the national committee at that time may visit and check directly to the project. But it is different with the GCM that we have developed from 2013, and it is then from 2014 fully implemented. Here we have now in Indonesia 47 projects, and we have from the chiller to LED, hydro, and everything here. This is the technology type here. And you know why we need then to have a sustainable development criteria to be implemented in the CCM project, because we know that there are a lot of technology that must prove their achievement by this kind of standard and this kind of guidelines. So here in the GCM, it's different with the CDM. In CDM, we know that we have developed by our own national standard, but because the GCM has bilaterally cooperation with Japan, so we have developed this with Japan. So this is a bilateral cooperation that we can add some guidelines and some criteria to this GCM. Here, for usually, if we talk about the project of the carbon project, we only have MRV, but here we put another measurement. Here is the sustainable development measurement. So here in Indonesia, sustainable development criteria is one of the most important process that must be passed by the project participant. And here again in this GCM, we put this as a mandatory. So every project then must implement the Sustainable Development Implementation Plan and report. So we have a two-step process that then implemented in the Sustainable Development Achievement Indonesia in the GCM. First is Sustainable Development Implementation Plan, and then Sustainable Development Implementation Report. So this is at that time very specific for the Indonesia GCM projects, but now our system have been copied and to other countries here, and this currently we have some methodologies, 22 methodologies, and the logistic system and the guidelines, everything here. But again, that this very important for us to be implemented, because we know that every project that we must we develop must deliver the sustainable development. And here, after we have some study, and then we try to interview more at that time, I think more than 40 companies, Indonesia and Japan, and we also learn our own experiences during the CDM era. So we developed what we call the SDIP and SDIR that have 7 criteria of the sustainable development. So we have the environmental impact assessment criteria, pollution control criteria, safety and health, natural environment and biodiversity, economy, social environment, and technology. So you can notice here that it is more rich than the sustainable development that we implement in the CDM. And here, the SDIP is a set of criteria utilized to assess the contribution of the GCM project to sustainable development plan based on ex-ante analysis. So the SDIP is ex-ante analysis. And then the SDAR is the report on achievement of SDIP implementation for a specific monitoring period based on the ex-post evaluation. So this is the proposal, and this is the achievement. And both of it will be evaluated by our team inside the GCM Secretariat and interministerial. And this is the urgency to implement the SDIP and SDR in GCM projects. First is to facilitate distribution of leading low carbon technologies, product systems, services, and infrastructures, and then implementation of the mitigation action, and then contributing to sustainable development in developing countries. Here, the SDIP and SDR implementation is expected to ensure this objective are achieved through technology transfer, capacity building, increased welfare, and eventually reduction of the emission. So we have very specific steps and how then to submit the SDIP. So all of the participants of the GCM must submit the SDIP by using this step: submission of SDIP, notification, then completeness check that done by the by the Secretariat, and then notification on the result of the competency check, then clarification on the specific issues in the SDIP, if any, and we have positive review, and then submission request to registration. So usually it is done during the validation of the project. And then the SDR process is more longer here. Submission of SDR to Secretariat, notification, competency check, notification, then notification to starting date, SDR evaluation by joint committee. So here the evaluation is done by the joint committee, meaning the ministries are involved in the review. And then notification on the SDR evaluation result. If they have positive result, then we can issue the credit. But if there is a negative SDR result, so the project then must go again to this step. Notification of the SDR, resubmission again, following the same step. So it is a kind of formal and standard of the SDIP and SDR steps in Indonesia CCM Secretariat. And what are the criteria that we will evaluate here? We have here the environmental impact assessment criteria. This is the conformity with the environmental impact assessment, and then pollution control, safety and health, natural environment and biodiversity, and then economic, social environment, community and participation, and technology. You can see here every criteria have sub-criteria here. So the participant must fulfill all of these. This is yes or no, and then if answer yes, please describe the action plan. Is there any impact, for example? Is there any, does the proposed project emit air pollution? If it is yes, then they must describe the action plan. So it is about the action plan that the project participant must explain to the Secretariat and to the ministries. And then until now we have received the 26 SDIP documents, and this is the SDAR. So as the SDR itself is more detailed than SDIP. So if we already received the plan, so it is the implementation of the plan. So SDR here submitted before the project then can issue the carbon credits. So here we have yes, no. This is just example. The proposed project will include the operation of the genset, something like that. And sometimes we need to have documents as the proof of all of this. Yeah, pollution control, safety and health, natural environment. It is quite detailed in here. Until now, Indonesia CCM Secretariat has received 12 SDAR documents. So we have now 25 SDIP document and 12 SDR document, meaning that 13 projects are still trying to fulfilling all of the their own plan to reduce the emission and then to deliver the sustainable development criteria. So the lesson learned to what we have done in Indonesia. So all of the SD implementation in Indonesia will make Indonesia mitigation project more transparent and accountable. And these experiences are very valuable for Indonesia climate change mitigation programs. And the implementation on SDIP and SDAR can be used as a benchmark and linkages to the Paris regime. Yeah. Please notice that we have developed our own CDM before the CDM Sustainable Development Tools is established by the UNFCCC. And here we also have implement the SDIP and SDAR before the Paris regime, before the Article 6 mentioned that the SDIP or the sustainable development is a mandatory for every carbon project. So maybe we have a time capsule for this, and then time machine, I mean. And then the utilization of SDIP and SDR ensure that GM project contribute positive impacts nationally. So this is our experiences to develop our own carbon projects by implementing the sustainable development. So if you have any questions, if I cannot answer at this meeting, so you can also send your question to my private social media here. Thank you very much.